Thank you guys for tuning in to our Jacket Nation Sports pregame show for Week 5. I'm Alex Boyer, the owner of Jacket Nation Sports, and hope that you guys have all had an awesome week. Football Friday. Hopefully you guys are going to head down to Waynesville here soon or watch the broadcast on our Jacket Nation Sports YouTube channel. I'm happy to be joined back with my color commentator, Michael Flanders, after a vacation down to the Sunshine State last week. So, Mike, how was your trip to Miami?
Miami was amazing. Got to hang out with some world-class athletes, literal former NBA, former NFL guys, college players. It was good. Had some good Jesus-y moments, some faith moments, and had some fun times. And actually got some exciting things we're working on for FCA, bringing some of these guys up to do some things with athletes here.
I know that you have a golf tournament coming up for FCA, if you want to plug that real quick.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Battle for the Belts, we call it. October 6th at the Lebanon Golf Course out here. It's an awesome opportunity to raise some funds for Fellowship of Christian Athletes as we reach coaches and athletes. If you want information on that, you can go to our website, Ozarks with an S, FCA.org, or you can holler at me on Facebook, and I can get you the details if you want to play. We have some spots for teams for $400, and we've got $200 for whole sponsors for people that want to sponsor and be a part.
So, awesome. That should be fun. October 6th, you said?
Friday. It's West Plains night.
West Plains.
So we'll be playing at 10 o'clock that morning, and then we'll be zizzering up that night.
Yeah, home game at Jacket Stadium that night, and obviously tonight the number 5 ranked Yellow Jackets taking on the Waynesville Tigers. So, like I said earlier, hopefully you guys are going to head out to the game. I know there was some rain earlier, but it looks like that's kind of cleared up a little bit and should stay away. Or if you enjoy the game from the confines of your own couch, then obviously you can tune in on Jacket Nation Sports Network on our YouTube channel. So that kickoff will begin at 7 o'clock tonight. But before we get started, I want to take time to thank our pregame show sponsors, Heritage Bank of the Ozarks, Jones's Travel Center, Missouri Cooperage, Shadle's Colonial Chapel, Results Advertising, and Mercy Hospital Lebanon. And you'll see a slideshow going on of some of our other sponsors during the show. So a big thank you to everyone who's subscribed to our channel or liked our videos. We've surpassed 500 subscribers in just 4.5 weeks of becoming active on there. So super blessed and thankful for the support that we've been receiving. Last week on our show, we had Lebanon assistant coach Zach Miller on the pregame show to preview the game against Bolivar. Appreciate him taking the time to do that. We have another interview with him later in the show, but it's pre-recorded. But this week, since it's Mike and Ike, we can talk about some of the other awesome programs that are competing at LHS this fall in some of their recent games. So go ahead and start that real quick. The girls' tennis team. Lebanon competed at the Branson tournament on Saturday and placed second out of 4 teams. Olivia Magruder won the number 1 singles flight with a 3-0 record, while Destiny Snokes and Bailey Lawrence won the number 1 doubles flight. Brooklyn Arthur and Carly Miller won the number 2 doubles flights. And LHS won all 3 of their matches this week against Willard, Osage, all 4, Willard, Osage, Parkview, and Willow Springs to improve to 11-4 on the season. So Lady Jackets starting to catch some fire heading into the final stretch of their season.
Busy week, four matches. That's a busy week.
Yeah, I honestly feel like I get an email from Coach Kroll every day with the results. It feels like they're playing every day, and they'll compete at the Ozark Conference Tournament next week, I believe, in Springfield at Cooper Tennis Complex.
Yeah, they wrap those seasons up pretty quickly, seems like.
And volleyball, able to broadcast a few games this week from Boswell Auditorium for the Volley Jackets this week. On Monday, the Yellow Jackets defeated Willard in 3 sets, 25-12, 25-18, and 25-22, with the JV and freshmen also winning their games. Fell to Kickapoo on Tuesday, but bounced back with a 3-set win over the Hillcrest Hornets last night in Springfield, and they will host Eldon on Monday, so come out and support them. Still unsure if we'll have a stream that day. Maybe going to set up at the soccer fields too, so unsure on that as of right now. Lebanon softball got a big win on the diamond yesterday over the Rolla Bulldogs 8-0 with a complete game shutout from Cam Luthi And then the big story of the night, 2 home runs from Gracie Gilby, 6 RBIs. That was fun to watch live. And that was also on our YouTube channel, so make sure if you want to go back and rewatch those highlights, you can do so. And they travel to Webb City on Tuesday, and then also pulled off a 11-2 win over the Hartville Eagles on Monday. So solid week there for Rob Sealander and his squad. Also want to congratulate Matt Jernigan and his boys soccer team on getting a shutout win over the Parkview Vikings 2-0 on Tuesday at JFK Stadium. Goal scorers included Jacob Reagan and Noah Anderson, while A.J. Brown got the clean sheet and goal for LHS, and the team also pulled out a 3-2 win against Lakeway on Thursday night. They are headed to New Covenant Academy right now in Springfield to take on a non-conference opponent, and will host Greenwood on Monday. And still trying to find out details on if we're going to stream that game or not, so stay tuned for updates on that. And then a busy week on the links for Lindsay Darnell and the girls golf team, playing at Marshfield in the Stratford tournament on Wednesday. Both the varsity and JV competed there, while the team traveled to Bill and Payne Stewart Golf Course on Thursday to compete at the Missouri State Relays, which is one of the bigger tournaments for them, and they will have a home match against Marshfield on Monday at Great Life Golf and Fitness Center. The boys varsity swim team followed up last week's meet with another excellent performance by placing 4th out of 8 teams at Foster Natatorium. Junior Benjamin Nelson led the way, improving 11 seconds in the 500 free, which was good for 3rd place. David Krebs said he dropped his 200 free set by 5 seconds to take 5th place. So nice job there by Ben Nelson. Sophomore Eli Havens took 6th with a 2-second improvement in the 100 butterfly and scored 10th in the 100 backstroke. Freshman Jackson Fisher improved just under a half second to break the 1-minute mark for his 100 free time. While sophomore Levi Price, freshman Adam Keene, and Hunter Four combined with Nelson, Havens, and Fisher to capture 2 6th places and a 7th place finish in their respective relays. And then last but not least, the cross-country team competed at Missouri Southern in Joplin last Saturday. Abigail Tague finished 33rd for the Lady Jackets, while Kelby Connor placed 53rd to lead the boys team out of 344 runners. So big competition there, and Lebanon will run at Gans Creek on Saturday in Columbia. So this week on our Jack and Nation Sports pregame show, we were able to catch up with junior Jax Clendenning after his big performance against the Bolivar Liberators last Friday night. He's our Missouri Cooperage Week 4 Player of the Week, and of course the aforementioned Lebanon assistant coach Zach Miller. So enjoy the interviews, and we will be right back after this. You're listening to the Jack and Nation Sports pregame show on YouTube. Joining me now on the Jack and Nation Sports pregame show again for the second straight week, Zach Miller, the Lebanon High School quarterback coach.
Appreciate being back. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, might have to start getting a Friday with Miller segment going. I know your boy Nick Saban's got his segment with McAfee now, so maybe we can get something rolling.
Yeah, 2 totally different levels there, but yeah, I mean, I'd take that.
Yeah, just another dominant showing from your guys last Friday against Bolivar. It seemed like that message in the locker room was received well from your team, and then they went out there from start to finish and played a really physical game. What were your thoughts?
Certainly, I mean, take nothing away from Bolivar. I mean, I know the score indicates that we had a real dominant night, and we did in a lot of phases, both sides of the ball. But, like I said last week, they fly around and play well, and, they're gonna finish the season well and be good in their district. So, but our kids were focused all week. The message was delivered early in the week, and our kids took it and ran with it on both sides of the ball. The physicality was a big emphasis because there was some chirping that, maybe we weren't as physical as we have been in years past, or, just things that kids hear on the outside. You try not to let that distract you, but it's hard with social media now and just voices out there that it's hard to keep that away from the kids. But at the same time, sometimes it provides some bulletin board material, and, the kids, the coaches take it personal and, work that much harder and put that much more time and effort into it, and our kids definitely did.
Obviously, your offense was effective again last Friday night. Good to see Gavin get in the end zone a few times, a passing touchdown, and then obviously number 36 doing number 36 type things.
As always, we like I mentioned last week, just kind of take what they give you. Started out in odd personnel, a bear stack we call it, and then got them into some even, and then they kind of teetered back and forth a little bit. But based on what they're in, we'll dictate the call from Coach Summer, and like I said, depending on what the emphasis of that particular call is by the defense, it could end up in Jax's hand, it could end up in Gavin's, could end up in Abe's, could end up in Drew's, could end up in Hoyt's. If the safeties, secondary start creeping in there. So, well designed for sure.
Another rivalry game tonight against the Waynesville Tigers as your team travels to Pulaski County. Kyle Barkley in his second year with the Tigers, they kind of showed some improvements towards the end of last season. I know that you faced them in the district semifinals, but what can you expect to see on both sides of the ball from them?
Physicality again. They were really good on both sides of the ball, offensive and defensive line last year. I noticed a big improvement there. Of course, that goes with their identity on offense, kind of a single wing type offense. So obviously we got a lot of respect for what they're doing, trying to run the ball, because that's what we do as well. Think that fits them really well. I think from year to year, depending on who their personnel is, with the ins and outs of kids coming in and out of there with military families and whatnot, you just never know who you're going to be settled on eligibility-wise. Just a lot of factors that a lot of people don't realize. It can be an obstacle there. So having some consistency offensively really does help, and this system does that for them. You can plug and play with some players there. And, coach calls a good game. Their staff does a good job. They're going to be good in the trenches again this week. So we'll definitely have to do our job on the offensive defensive line. We'll have our hands full.
Talk a little bit about how the seasons are going for both the freshmen and JV. I know you're the freshman offensive coordinator, but just talk about some of the success that those teams have had this fall.
You really get to see our system take hold when you get to see our young guys, our freshmen and our sophomores on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. We drill fundamentals so much, the little things of, stance alignment key, getting your calls, communication, things like that. And it's fun to see on Monday nights our younger guys start to do that. And, especially in the JV, it's tough in a successful Class 5 program to be a sophomore, because especially this group this year has had so much success, and that's well documented. They've had a lot of success. Then you step in as a sophomore, now you're on a depth chart. It's not just me in this position. I've got 2 or 3 other guys in this position that I'm battling with, and they've got more experience than I do. A lot of times they're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster. You got a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old, or a 15-year-old and an 18-year-old. So it's that learning curve again of, all right, I've got to learn to be a teammate here and learn to be a scout player, or learn to get limited reps or just endo reps, and learn to hone my craft on Monday nights now too. All of our kids get endo reps during practice, but as we wind down the offensive periods and the offensive sessions, a lot of times majority reps will go to the Friday night guys. So, as a sophomore, it's always a learning curve, and it's always something to adjust to. You think back, very rarely in our program do sophomores, get the nod at starting spots, unless there's injuries or the depth chart's kind of depleted. So, but as we tell them, it beats the alternative of being thrown into a bad situation as a sophomore, or even a freshman in some cases. You look around, other programs that have to do that, and we're very fortunate we don't. We can make sure our kids are maturity-wise ready to go, mentally, physically, ready to be a Friday night player.
Yeah, and the good news for you guys is you've been able to get those sophomores in on Friday nights so far through 3 out of the 4 games this season.
Yeah, very important. A lot of good reps. Now, some people look at it as cleanup time or whatever, and that's fine. But we take it very seriously. It's not just let's run the clock down and get out of here. No, they've got work to do on both sides of the ball. We get kids in, and both coordinators are still very much involved. Every position coach is still very much involved, and we're still locked in. You'll see our older guys over there doing push-ups on the sideline with Coach Britt if they're not locked in, because there's still a ball game and there's still things to be done. And if you're not in, you can be helping in some capacity, help those young guys, because you're one injury away from climbing up the depth chart, and you have to do things right for sure, and that's been an emphasis for us.
All right, Coach. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to join us. Best of luck tonight against the Waynesville Tigers. Joining me now on the Jacket Nation Sports pregame show is our Missouri Cooperage Week 4 Player of the Week, junior Jax Clendenning for the Lebanon Yellow Jackets, a fullback and linebacker. Jax, thanks for joining the show.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Thank you.
So last week, over 230 yards for you, another statement win for the second consecutive week. Just heading into that game, it still felt like you guys were still being doubted by just a few people, but how motivated were you guys coming into last week against Bolivar to prove to people that the Kickapoo game wasn't a fluke?
Yeah, so every game that we play and that we win, it's all a blessing. So coming into this game, we come into it, all games are the same for us. It's a faceless opponent. But we were just, we have people doubting us. We have people doubting us every year. Every year we lose stud players. I've said that before. But coming into this game, it was a little bit different because, like Coach Christian said all week to us, Bolivar made it personal when they tried to take our identity. So coming into this week, knowing that people doubted us and that Bolivar thought that they could play with us, that really motivated us. Yep.
And you've had a great year on both sides of the ball so far, but I've always wondered, do you prefer making a big play on the offensive side or a big play on the defensive side? Because, you've done both so far this year, but I'm just wondering which one gets you more fired up.
I enjoy offense more, but when it comes to making big plays on offense, I'm always gassed after them. Yeah. So I enjoy defense better because after the defense play, you get up and you're done.
And I know that you love those guys up front for you. I know you say you're exhausted after a big play, but those guys up front make your job a whole lot easier. So, just talk about your offensive line and what those guys have done for you for the first 4 weeks.
Those guys are studs up there. I've said it before already, but when you have a line like I do, it makes my job incredibly easy. Yeah. They really are. I think that they're the best in the conference, one of the best in the state. We've got a great coach for them, Coach Witt and Coach Wade. They do a great job, and I'm lucky to have them. They're all studs.
And this is the third week in a row, I think, that we've had a football player and then a wrestler on the show. Had Drew and Cannon the last 2 weeks, so Coach Rogers is listening. I'm sure he's fired up for you guys. But yeah. In your eyes, what's the difference between football shape and wrestling shape? Because we talked to Cannon and Drew the last 2 weeks, but I've always been curious when they talk about wrestling shape versus football shape.
Yeah, it's way different. So we normally end sometime in November, and then the very next 2 days we go immediately into wrestling, and it is just way different. So to me, wrestling is like you're basically in an all-out brawl, and it can last 6 minutes of just straight fighting each other, and it's brutal. Football is more like you make a 15-yard run, a 3-yard run. You get up, you get about a 20-second break. So they're way different from each other.
And with wrestling, people who might not have gone to wrestling before, it's 2 minutes, and then you get maybe 10 seconds for for the flip and see what position you're going to be in, and then you're straight at it again. And it's just that way. It can be that way for 3 periods. So it is a tough sport. And final question, what's that message been this week in the locker room after 2 big wins, back-to-back weeks, and then 2 road games looming for your team?
It's the same every week. For us, it's just the faceless opponent. We don't care who we beat or who we play. We just go forward every week knowing that we got to work hard for what we want. We are a championship team. We all believe that, and that's what's been being preached in the locker room. We're a championship team, and we just want to continue to work to achieve our goals. So.
Awesome. Well, Jax, I appreciate you taking time to join the show, and best of luck against Waynesville this week.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Back here on the Jacket Nation Sports Pregame show, brought to you by Heritage Bank of the Ozarks, Jonesy's Travel Center, Missouri Cooperage, Shadle's Colonial Chapel, Results Advertising, and Mercy Hospital, Lebanon. We are getting ready to call the Waynesville Tigers versus the number 5 ranked Lebanon Yellow Jackets here on our Jacket Nation Sports YouTube page. But Mike, what a dominant win and a statement win from Will Christian and the Yellow Jackets last Friday night, defeating state-ranked Bolivar by a score of 56-13. And I know you weren't there, but man, a physical game, and got a little bit chippy at times. I think that was kind of the message around the locker room, is that the physicality of the Yellow Jackets was going to be tested, and Bolivar wanted to win that battle, but obviously Lebanon dominating from start to finish. And after the win, I have to be honest with you that I could tell that win meant something to Will Christian and his staff. He called it a rivalry game on our show, and that was probably the most animated I've seen Will after a win in the 7 years that I've covered his teams.
Yeah, I ended up watching it obviously on Jagged Nation. It was, I think, 2 in the morning on Friday night. I was watching the football game and not sleeping because I missed you guys. But just watching, I'm just looking at stats and thinking things through. Looking at offensive stats and production, and you guys are playing half a game, and so there's a challenge because we're playing well. That you're not competing physically, but they're having to compete mentally and stay engaged. And so Coach Christian always does a great job of that. And again, tonight, we don't know what to expect. I do know Waynesville's had some injury issues, and, they will do that single wing, a lot on the ground. It's kind of similar to what we run in a way, a little more confusing for the defense, which to me, again, tonight, I think it's going to be a lot of up front what's going to happen, who's going to control the line, and I don't think you'll see a lot of passing. The clock will move rather quickly the whole game.
Yeah, and going back to that Bolivar game, it truly was a dominant performance on both sides of the ball. Obviously, on the offensive side, you had Gavin Smith with 4 rushing touchdowns and a passing touchdown. Jax did Jax things. And I leave games more and more impressed with the offensive line up front. Last week, I thought Dathan Durbin and Thomas Howe both had strong games for LHS, and excited to see that line keep growing as this season moves forward. I know they're still dealing with a little bit of an injury bug up there, but I think all in all, the coaches have been happy with what they've seen from the big guys up front. And like you said, tonight's opponent, Waynesville, enters the game with a 1-3 record. Fell to Kickapoo last week, 21-8. So obviously to hold a Class 6 school Waynesville also Class 6, but to hold a team like Kickapoo with as much offensive firepower as they have to 21 points is pretty impressive. And this is a game that Lebanon should win, Mike, but obviously you can't overlook anyone in the Ozark Conference, and always enjoy going to that stadium, awesome stadium that they have there, and enjoying some Friday night football.
Yeah, of course. What obviously different for us watching up in the press box versus on the sidelines, but a lot of great memories there for Yellow Jacket in that stadium. I remember when I was coaching, Nick Piercy with the pick 6 for the win. That was a huge win. I think that was probably maybe 2014, 13, 14 in there sometime. And, Lebanon has rolled a bit on Waynesville. I think the last 10 years kind of owned the rivalry. I think they've got us at one point there, but for the most part, we've owned that. And but you just never know what's going to happen at Waynesville. It's going to be probably get chippy a little bit. Going to have to stay mentally focused. They will show up ready for them. They see this as a big rivalry game.
Yeah, last time Waynesville beat Lebanon was in 2013 in the district playoffs, so almost 10 years ago was the last time that the Tigers came out on top. But Waynesville's defeated Parkview this year with losses coming to Glendale, Camden, and Kickapoo, of course. But they've definitely lost to some of the more talented teams in the conference early on in the season, and we'll see how they finish up this year. And doing our research, realized that they moved up from Class 5 to Class 6, so they'll have their hands full in district play with the likes of Nixa, Ozark, Kickapoo, and Joplin with them.
And this kind of needs to be a statement game for Waynesville in regards to district seating and some of that, the difference between maybe potentially hosting first round or having to go on the road in their district. It's a big game for them.
Yeah, and of course, going around the conference last week, some of the scores was we mentioned Kickapoo beat Waynesville 21-8 in a low-scoring contest. Lebanon defeating the Bolivar Liberators 56-13 at home, and Camden defeating Parkview 56-7. West Plains beat Rolla 42-14, and the Zizzers are starting to turn things around in Howell County. So it'll be a fun contest that first week in October when they come to Lebanon. And like you said, you have that golf tournament that day, so it should be an exciting day, a whole day for you. And Hillcrest played Glendale last Thursday night and lost 28-6 to round out the Ozark Conference games. Heading into Week 5, we've talked about our game that we'll be calling on our Jacket Nation Sports YouTube channel, but some of the other Ozark Conference games and key games around the area include Glendale at Bolivar, and Obviously, the big news coming out of Springfield today was Glendale quarterback Kylan Mavens is deemed eligible to play now, and he'll suit up tonight against the Liberators. I know the Falcon fans are glad to have him back as QB1 and get to see what he's been all about. Obviously, the transfer from Kickapoo, we'll probably touch more on it next week with us going to Glendale, but if you haven't followed that situation much, Wyatt Wheeler of the Springfield News Leader has done a good job with that. So going to be interesting to see the the high power Glendale offense going up against that physical Bolivar defense. And also the Glendale defense has been impressive over the last 3 weeks, allowing 21 points or fewer in each of those games, and Bolivar looking to bounce back after the blowout loss to Lebanon. Back to the jaws of death for the Camden Lakers hosting West Plains, so probably the game of the night in the Ozark Conference. And if someone's going to challenge these Yellow Jackets down the stretch, it's got to be one of these two teams, I think. But, both of these teams keep getting better by the week, and both remain in the OC Conference race.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, just looking at stats and online, Durnan has been performing better the past couple weeks. The first couple weeks he had some interceptions and takes care of the ball the past few weeks. And I think with that Camden team, I think they're make or break by the offensive turnovers and how the offense is producing.
Hillcrest traveling to Rolla tonight for a game between two winless teams, so be interesting to see who comes out there. And Rolla obviously having one of the tougher early season schedules in the OC, being better what their record indicates. And then Parkview played at Kickapoo last night on a Thursday night, and Kickapoo winning that game 42-6 and putting up some points after stumbling a bit on offense the past 2 weeks. And then looking around, we'll have Willard at Republic tonight, which is a big game for Lebanon fans because of the district race. Right now, Willard currently sits in second with Republic in third, and so the winner of this game probably will take over that 2 spot. And like you said earlier, every game counts for district standings, and this is a big game to determine whether or not you're going to be hosting that semifinal game or if you're going to have to be traveling on the road. So,
yeah, it's big opportunity. It always seems like Lebanon kind of misses out on those, just the way the rotation works, the up year and the down here, I guess. But you know what? We got to think about Waynesville tonight.
Yeah. Nixa at Joplin, so two of the upper echelon teams in the COC going at it in Joplin, and small school Mount Vernon at Nevada. Just thought that'd be an interesting game between two talented teams. And before we go, I want to take time to mention that Lebanon football player J.J. Hudson was in a serious car accident over the weekend, and we here at Jacket Nation Sports want to send out information to you that if you would like to help the Hudson family for hospital expenses, travel, food, and his mom Mindy's business is currently on pause for the time being, you can Venmo Mindy Hudson, Hutson Hudson, at Wildflower Baking, and that's flower spelled Flour, Wildflower Baking on Venmo, or PayPal Mindy Hudson, MindyHutson at gmail.com. And, obviously the community of Lebanon's really rallied around the Hudson family. The son of Mindy and Travis Hudson, JJ, is a great kid that could use a lot of thoughts, prayers right now, along with his parents, his brother Brandon, a former LHS football player, and sister Vivian Hudson as well. So,
Lebanon always amazes me with their generosity. Even with FCA, they're always so generous when there are opportunities to give and to invest in something. And I appreciate all you guys considering what that would look like for your families, supporting the Hudson family.
Yeah, and again, that's Venmo Mindy Hudson at Wildflower Baking, flower spelled Flour, or PayPal Mindy Hudson at gmail.com. So JJ's in our thoughts and prayers as the season progresses and as time progresses too. So I think that will probably wrap it up for this week's Jacket Nation Sports pregame show. About to head head to Pulaski County to call the game and get set up. So it should be an exciting night of high school football around the state of Missouri, Mike.
Yeah, looking forward to. I hate missing a week, but you know, these Fridays are special times in the fall, not just for the boys that get to play, but for us too, as we get a honor to be a part of what we're doing. Kind of feel part of the Lebanon, the Jacket Nation, and we're honored to represent Lebanon all over. And tonight we'll be in Pulaski County. Thanks for supporting us.
Make sure that you try to travel to the game tonight if you can, but always, if you can't, you'll be able to watch the broadcast here on our channel on YouTube. We'll be going live around 6:30 or 6:40 tonight, so I'll be on the play-by-play with Mike giving his insight and analysis as our color commentator. Our pregame show is live every Friday, and next week back on the road to Springfield as Lebanon travels to take on the Glendale Falcons. Looking forward to calling that game for you guys. Want to thank our primary sponsors, Heritage Bank of the Ozarks, Jonesy's Travel Center, Missouri Cooperage, Shadle's Colonial Chapel, Results Advertising, and Mercy Hospital Lebanon for sponsoring our Jacket Nation Sports pregame show. Make sure that you, if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel, check out our website for game stories, and like our videos on YouTube, and we will see you soon. Go Jackets.